choice, special session. We'll go through some markets if you've chosen, and even if you don't see it, your market, or if I show a market that you don't trade, realize you could also use it for education, because essentially the way we look at the markets are kind of universal, because candlesticks work in all markets and all time frames. And just very important, the risk disclosure, just reminding you that there's a risk of loss trading in pretty much any market. And if you're interested in the full legal disclosure, just go to the link here, Candlechartscom /disclosure. And again, Paul will be around later to answer any of your questions. So let's start with the first request. Okay, and that's the S&P. Expand it here, and just let me make sure that we're seeing what you're seeing. Good. Okay, so the S&P at all-time highs now. Okay. And this old resistance, if the market is good, should become a support area. That's based on change of polarity. Now, one of the things you can do with the candles, we talk about the importance of reversal signals, but you can also use candlesticks to trade breakouts, momentum trading, which I really like doing because you're going more often than not in the direction of the longer term trend. And so this is a good example of that. So here we have a couple of doji, plural of doji or doji, and it's confirming a resistance area. So normally that's an area to be concerned about. But if the market closes above this resistance area, that is a bullish breakout, and you could use that as a potential buying opportunity with the theory that this old resistance right around 32.25, again, we're looking at the cash S&P, should become support. So if you buy in the breakout on a close, you have a relatively minimal risk. If the market moves back under this old resistance area, say 32.25, if you're long, you're wrong. Now, the market is in, I'm going to show you a weekly chart. So, oops. Okay. So we're now approaching a falling window on the S&P. And usually the top of the window, as a weekly chart, becomes the key resistance area. The whole window is resistance. Now remember, there's a weekly chart, so we don't know if the market will close above this window until the end of the week. But this would be the next potential resistance area. Then, of course, the all-time highs right around 3,400 in the cash S&P. Okay, we will now look at GLD. And by the way, I forgot to mention these two lines for those of you familiar with our work. These are moving averages, simple moving averages. There's a 20-day moving average, and there's a 50-day moving average. And when the 20 is above the 50, the longer-term trend I view as up. And especially when both slopes are pointing upward, that's also a positive. So in GLD, also a major breakout, and you can see the long-term trend is up, short-term trend is up, and you can see how it got above a resistance area. So this old resistance potentially support, but now we have rising windows as potential support. So those are my next support areas. We will go to a weekly and a monthly just to show you in uncharted territory. So I don't like to give targets or resistance areas based on the market being at all-time highs or if they're at all-time lows. I like to use prior highs and lows where the market told us that it was going to correct. So fortunately, I can't give you any key resistance areas here. Okay, we're going to look at the pound dollar. And just a reminder that the candles work in all markets. We have a lot of currency traders, and I'll show you with our mycandlecharts.com education some of the things we have that help forex traders really beat the competition. Okay, on the pound dollar. Let me shrink this a little bit. Long-term trend is up. You see the 20s above the 50. And as far as resistance is concerned, we do have a doji. And this is a good example of the importance of education. So we know, even with the basics of candles, that a doji during a rally often is a sign to be cautious. But one of the things when you do invest in the education, our ongoing education at mycandlecharts.com, you'll learn the subtle nuances. So, for example, this is a doji, right? I'm going to expand it. But this is also a new high close for the move. Look at this. The move started here. So it's a new high close. And look at this shadow. This is a long lower shadow. So that in itself is positive. So although there's a doji, I would still call the short-term trend up. Because it's a doji, I would nudge it a little bit more to neutral. And remember what I was saying before, I think when we were talking about the S&P using the change of polarity on a breakout. See this old resistance? Once the market got above it, look what became support. One of my favorite strategies. And with the change of polarity, it really should be tested 2 or 3 times. So this still remains my first support. And resistance would be this bearish engulfing pattern, this red real body wrapping around this green real body on the pound dollar, right around a little above 128. And again, many of you may not trade Forex, but all the strategies I discussed, the change of polarity, the doji, but a new high close, long lower shadow, you can apply in all markets, in all time frames, any markets that you particularly trade. Okay, on Tesla. Okay, long-term trend obviously up. Short-term, I'm going to nudge it up to a little bit more neutral. Okay, the market has a rising support line, higher lows, that's a positive. But with this little rally here, it does have a little dark cloud cover over here. All right, the red gets into the green more than halfway. So that defines first resistance. And the doji is kind of showing us some hesitation. But my first support would be this rising support line. But the more important support is the multi-tested levels here. Look at this. Okay, right around 1450. And then obviously above the highs we made over the last couple of days would be the all-time high of 1800. Okay, next is Amazon. Okay, this is not a dark cloud cover because the red real buy did not get more than halfway into the green candle. So I'm not defining this as resistance. But this I am. Look at this size of this red real body compared to the small green candle. In fact, this red real body wrapped around 2 green candles. So that defines it as pretty important resistance. And that's what I would now have as my first resistance area. Okay, and support, the lows here, right around 29.25. Now this is interesting. This is let me make a little box here. Once again, the idea of these sessions is not only to markets of your choice, but to give you some education. Okay, so we have a black real body wrapping around a green real body, right? Just like we had here, red real body wrapping around a green real body, just like we had here, red real body wrapping around a green real body. But why is this not a bearish engulfing pattern, while this is? The trend is wrong. A bearish engulfing pattern must come after a rally. Here, did the market rally before this red wrapping around the green? No. So education like this will really help save you money, because if you just knew that a bearish engulfing pattern is a red candle wrapping around a green candle, red wrapping around the green, you would have been potentially selling here just before Amazon rallied hundreds and hundreds of dollars. One of the best ways to lose money is not having the correct education. Next one is long-term trend is up. And nice example of why candles have so many advantages over bar charts beside the early reversal signals, much faster than bar charts. You can use all your traditional Western charting techniques. So you can see we were using moving averages to define longer term trend. We could also use, and this is, I'm big on that. I like the patterns. We could also use traditional Western patterns. Does anybody recognize what this pattern is here? Higher lows and horizontal resistance. Okay, it's an ascending triangle. Great, William. And you'll see on our mycandlecharts.com member site, we have lots of Western tools also. We have decades of experience in not only candlesticks, but Western tools, and we certainly incorporate them. So good call on that, William. And with, as William probably knows, what that means with an ascending triangle, first of all, obviously this is resistance, but if the market gets above this resistance area, this old resistance, altogether now should be support, and the target would be the height of the triangle from about 18 to 28, $10, add $10 to 28, and you get a target to 38. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that the market has no resistance before it gets 38 to $38. Of course, we'd be looking for potential resistance here at 34. But the next resistance or target above the 34 resistance area would be the 38 area. And one of our key cardinal concepts is that there's always a price that says you're wrong. So let's assume the market breaks above 28 and a quarter and say you buy it at 29, where should your stop be? Based on the change of polarity. Right, the old resistance should be support, somewhere under $28. And also think about the risk reward. Okay, if you're buying it here, let's say you buy it here, your target is up here, and your risk is here. There's a risk, there's a potential reward. It's a good risk reward. Okay, let me see how many of you were paying attention. Well, I'm trying to draw this rectangle a little better. Let me see. Oops. If it doesn't work this time, I'm going to give up. All right, well, I'm giving up. But anyway, let's just focus on this. Here's a green wrapping around a red. Now, green wrapping around a red, normally down here back in April, green wrapping around the red, that's a bullish engulfing pattern, right? But remember, we need two criteria. One, the shape of the candle lines, and two, the trend. A bullish engulfing pattern comes after a downtrend. Here, the green wrapped around the red, but it came after an uptrend. So can you imagine buying here, thinking this was a bullish engulfing pattern, all right, only to lose, what, $14 in a couple of days? That's money in your pockets that you wouldn't have lost. And so here, remember, always take trend into account with almost all the candlestick signals. For those of you who have our candle scanning software, that automatically highlights my favorite candlestick signals. And I'll show you kind of what it looks like here. Okay, these are some of my favorite candlestick signals. And it takes trend into account. Okay, we have proprietary trading. We have proprietary indicators that look at the prior trend to make sure it's really a bullish engulfing pattern. And if it's not a bullish engulfing pattern, it won't highlight it, all right, because the trend is wrong. Okay, so let's look at another one. Then we'll take a short break. Okay, we will look at the euro, US. And when I say break, I mean we have some interesting features to show you. Just set up the euro. And then we'll show you that charting widget, brand new charting widget when I do one of the markets. Euro US, all trends are up. 20's above the 50. Bull channel. Okay. And we highlight this. A bull channel. And one of the measuring techniques, Western technical techniques that I like, one of my favorites, as I mentioned before, you use all Western measuring techniques. We have okay, so resistance, 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 support, support, support. As long as you have multi-tested resistance and multi-tested support, we have a box range, a lateral trading environment, right? And now we have a measuring target. We take the height of the box range and we add it to the breakout. So let's say 111.80 to 114. So let's make it 200 just to kind of round it off to make it easy for my slow mental capabilities here at nighttime. So 200 pips, and we add that, and we have a target to around let's see, so yeah, 112 to 114. We'd have a target of 116. We actually met it already, pretty much. Okay, we met the target. Isn't it interesting? And here again, see this old resistance? Market closed above the resistance, and what became support over here? This old resistance. So if you bought it here and you had a stop under 114.20, that would have been a nice trade because you would have had a stop out level, you would have had a target based on the Western technicals, and you would have made a nice few hundred pips in a day or two. Okay. And let's look now. Whoops. I'm trying to get the website up here. Okay. So now we are going to look. Let's see if this works out here. I just have to have two screens. So I want to show you the widget because we have an overseas market. All right, so let's see. Yeah, it's working. Okay, and I'm going to go through all these features here that we have on mycandlecharts.com. This will be our short discussion, and then we're going to go through some other exciting markets. So one of the markets that we wanted was very popular Indian markets. So IFN. Now, what's great about this widget on mycandlecharts.com, it works just about in any market around the world. So when you go here, you could just pull up any chart and you can see this is an Indian market, and the charting platform that I had did not have this particular market. And it's very easy to use. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can advance it and go back, and you could have some Western tools on it, but I wanted to keep this really, really basic. So let's look at using the widget on IFN, and I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so we could see. Right. And also I have a daily chart here. We could obviously make a weekly chart. And by the way, on the daily chart here, okay, lots of gaps because this is an overseas market. So I don't pay too much attention to the gaps, the windows. But on the weekly chart, I like looking at windows. So we have a falling window right over here, right around the 18 area, right over here. That is my next resistance. Short-term trend is up. The market is having, again, there's a weekly chart. It's making higher highs and actually higher lows. So long-term and short-term trends are up. Go back to the daily here. And as far as support is concerned, actually the weekly. See this rising? See why I like windows, especially little windows? See this little window right over here? A small window right around 1470. Look what became support, right? The small windows are great because you have a tight support and resistance area. So this is the example, again, of the widget. So it's great. You just go here, put in any market you want, Forex, indexes, individual stocks from around the world. Very, very easy. So what we've been doing now, and we'll continue doing it, is going through what we call our candle strategy session. See, mycandlecharts.com, and I'll get to all this in a minute or two. Mycandlecharts.com is our paid member site, and it's a great way to provide ongoing guidance to give you the confidence you need to excel in the markets. And twice a week, we have a candle strategy session. What is a candle strategy session? It's exactly what we're doing today. You will send us the markets that you want us to analyze, and it'll either be me, Sil, or Brian. And Sil and Brian have been with us for years and Nison certified trainers. They are great. And we will analyze the markets just like I'm doing here. That's the candle strategy session. And each day we also do a trade setup. It's ready before the markets open. We give you the strategy, where you should be looking, where protective stop should be, a potential target. We do that every day. A chart of the day. This is really good because remember what I was doing on some of the markets, talking about like a bullish engulfing pattern or a bearish engulfing pattern, the importance of the trend and so forth. We focus on a chart and on one educational aspect of a chart. So each day you're going to get a new educational concept, a new strategy. Like today, we also talked about the doji, but it was a new high close, so be a little less bearish on it. So the idea is to give you those vital nuances that'll truly separate you not only from other traders, but those who get candlestick education elsewhere, because you can't get it any better than us, since I'm the one who originally did all the translations. Well, I paid somebody, but I was the one who wrote the book, which is the foundation of all candlestick education in Europe and America. We also do a daily market recap. Each session will go over anywhere from 12 to 15 markets, euros, S&P, the composite, the Dow, gold, crude, the major markets that will affect the individual securities. So even if you're not trading crude, I think it might be good to know what crude's doing if you're trading an oil-based index or an oil-based stock. So it's a great way to get a broad overview of the main markets. We also do a chart challenge. I'll put up, or we'll put up, a market or chart, and I'll say, again, I give an example like today, Why is this not a bearish engulfing pattern? Why is this not a bullish engulfing pattern? You put the video on pause, you think about it, and you'll see if your answer is right. You hit play again, and you'll hear our answer. And we also do options outlook. Candles are great for options because the most important thing you need to know about any trade in an options market is obviously you have to know about implied volatility, but trend far and away is the most important concept, important market insight you need for successful options trading. And we also do a lot on Forex. So very broad-based, no matter what markets, options, Forex. You get trade setups every day, and Paul discussed a little bit more about it. But what on the left side, I wanted to show you this. We have a monthly subscription, 12-month subscription, and lifetime. And the reason I'm so excited to do this today is this lifetime is very new. And if you use the special code PROSPER, you'll get lifetime for a special discount. Paul will go over that with you in a couple of minutes. So for less than twice the price of an annual, you'll have lifetime access to my CC. And one of the great comments we got from Barry, from one of our students, my CC, before I joined Candlecharts.com, that's what my CC stands for. I would make gains in the market and then lose them back. Sound familiar? My trading has become more consistent, more winning trades and fewer losing trades over the past few months. And the reason for that is education. That's what it's really all about. Okay, so I'm going to turn over to Paul in a couple of minutes, but as promised, let me go over some other markets here. Okay, Bitcoin. And it's interesting because when we do our strategy sessions with our students, okay, we'll have requests for markets like Bitcoin that trade at 10,000 or markets that are penny, not quite penny stocks, but $2, $3, $4, $5. So it's the whole gamut. So Bitcoin, long-term trend, I'm having down because the 20 is under the 50. But notice the 20 sloping up a little bit, so I'd make it down neutral. And short-term, neutral, classic box range. See, support, 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 resistance, resistance. Okay, anybody recognize this? Red wrapping around the green. And it did follow an uptrend. Bearish engulfing pattern. And what I like about the box range is if you get a bearish signal, very often you come, so let's say we get a bearish signal up here right around 9,600. We're getting pretty close to that. If the market pulls back, then you have a target. My target would be the low in this zone here of the box range. And then above this area of 9,600, can of you Nison candlestick experts out there? Anybody recognize this one? Long green candle, small real body, long red real body that gets deeply into the get rid of this, into the prior candle. Can anybody recognize that? That is a evening star. Okay. Okay, long green, small red, it could be a black or white real body. And let me see if I can load something here. Okay, one of the cool features, let me show you in Candlecharts.com. Okay. Is you can have your education. We have a glossary. It's not coming up now, but we have a glossary of all the major candlestick signals. So in case you forget about what the candle pattern is, you just go right to that glossary. So, so it's an evening star. Good call on that. Let's see. Sorry, I only got the first part of your name. Yulashi, if I'm pronouncing it right. Sorry about that. Okay, let's move on, because I don't want to take too much of your time. Johnson & Johnson. Okay, short-term trend, I'm going to have as neutral. We have a shooting star. Long-term trend is neutral. 20 is very close to the 50. Now, this is interesting. Here, the market is moving up. It's in a bull channel, so normally that's a positive. But notice this area here. Okay, I did mention the shooting star, but these are small real bodies. So although the market's moving up, and I'd say, yeah, the short-term trend is mainly positive, the Japanese will say this is a market rising in agony. They have such great expressions because it's moving up, but it's really struggling. Normally when the market moves up, you want to see long green candles, not small real bodies. So I'd have the short-term trend a little bit more neutral because of that, which is not surprising considering it's getting to the infamous falling window over here. And look how the market stalled at the falling window over here. I'm going to show you something, again, a major insight. And you'll be getting lots of these at mycandlecharts.com. Anybody recognize this pattern here? Okay, the market gapped up and gapped down. Gapped up, there's a small rising window, and gap down. Anybody recognize that? And this would be a nice example of a chart challenge. Okay, in Western Technicals, Rakesh, good call on that one. That's an island top. Now, in Western Technicals, when we have an island top, the high of the island, and the reason it's called an island top, by the way, is because it looks like an island, surrounded by water. This would be, once the market gapped down, right, once we form the island top, in Western Technicals, the first resistance would be around 155.5. But now that we're using the insights of the candles, once the market gapped down, is this our first resistance area? Or do we have another resistance area once the market gaps down? And give you a hint. So this now becomes our first resistance area. Not here. So if you were, let's say the market sold off and you were waiting for time, let's say you were long and you were waiting for a rally to get out and the market rallied and you were waiting for a move to 155.5, look at that. The market stalled at the window and you would still be long as the market continued to move down. By knowing the falling window is resistance, and this is still resistance up here, but this is first resistance now. This is second, and the market stalled at the first resistance. And that's where it's having problems now with the shooting star. Okay, obviously if it gets above the high of the falling window, right around 153, then the next resistance would be up there. And as for support, I have a rising support line, and tomorrow that in 6, right around the 148 area. The more important support to me is, and this was interesting, see this prior support became resistance, and now this old resistance area potentially could become support. But my first support is the rising window. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm going to turn it over to Paul. Again, I just want to give you a sample of the education you're going to get from us at mycandlecharts.com. And so Paul will now stay around to answer some of your questions.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. And what I'm going to do Steve, is I'm actually going to take control of the screen. I'm going to change presenter over to me so that I can put up my screen just so I can show a couple of things. Okay, so when you go to candlecharts.com/lifetime, this is what you're going to see. And I know that there are people watching this via recording, so if you have a question, by all means, if you're here live, type that in at any point. And if you're here watching the recording, you could always email me. My email is paul@candlecharts.com. So when you come to the screen, you'll see a video, about a 17-minute video where Steve actually highlights all of the features of my candle chart. So you're more than welcome to play that video. You'll see our 3 offers, our monthly, our 12-month, and our lifetime. Somebody looked at the link today and asked if that was really the price for a lifetime, meaning you pay it one time, and absolutely correct. However, if you use this coupon code PROSPER right here, that will actually take a 15% discount off of that price. So it's even lower than that. You pay it one time, you have lifetime access. In addition to all of the features, you get special topic training, you get a discount off of if you wanted to upgrade to our Kaizen program, but you also get a $100 gift card that you can use for anything in our other site over at Candlecharts Academy. So let me go through real fast. I know Steve already went through some of these, but here are some of the ideas, concepts, events that happen inside of my candle charts. This is a daily, ongoing educational site to provide guidance for you in these markets. So Steve already mentioned the strategy sessions. Those happen twice a week where the members get to request a market of their choice to be analyzed. Chart of the day, this is an educational piece where each morning there's a video waiting for you when you wake up to be able to watch an educational piece. Then we have a morning trade setup. That's where we're showing you a video of a trade that we're either actually doing or at least considering doing for that day, along with the rationale behind where you should enter, where you should exit. We have a Candle Congress, so if you have questions and you want other members to take a look at what your question is and comment, or if you want to post a chart with a question, you're more than welcome to do that. Other members can see it and post, as well as our team will do it too. Each week we do a Forex focus session specifically on all of the Forex pairs. That happens every Tuesday, every Wednesday. So today we did an options outlook where we go over option strategies and teaching you how to use options trading in current market conditions. Special topic training, I'm going to go over this here in a minute, but these are special topics that are usually about an hour long each that normally you would pay for separately. But if you are on the 12-month or the lifetime plan, you would have access to a full list of special topics, and I'll show you some of that list when I scroll down. Steve mentioned Chart Challenge. That happens every week. We put up a blog typically once or maybe twice a month where we go over some ideas, some things to be thinking about. Steve showed you that charting widget where you can pull up pretty much any chart from around the world in any time frame. We have a brand new options bootcamp. Again, this is for people on the annual or lifetime plan. If you do not know how to trade options, and if you're new to them and you want to get going, we have a 3-part series on options teaching you what you need to know to get going. It's incredible. We have a lot of traders that don't understand options. They think they're too difficult, and they can be difficult unless you get the right education, but we do provide you with that right education to get going the right way. We have a weekly wrap up. So if you're looking at a little bit longer term, you want a little bit bigger picture, every Friday and or Saturday, we post a video on what we do for the daily market recap, but in a longer term view. Steve started showing you some of the resources that we provide. We also have international recaps where we go over major markets. Let me show you those special topics. These are just some of them that you would get. We just recently, and you might have seen this, put out a brand new 4-part option strategy series. These are 4 individual option strategies of credit spread, debit spread, calendar spread, and intraday options. So each one of these would be around $100. They're all included in your annual or lifetime membership. And then you can see a whole list of all their special topic sessions. Some of my favorites, a lot of people know how to enter, they don't know how to exit. So we have a whole session just on exiting. We have one on East and West, where Steve talks about how to combine candles with Western indicators using multiple time frames. One of my favorite, because a lot of people will only look at one time frame chart. So this is going to teach you how to utilize multiple time frame to get all the best clues that you need. Intraday techniques. We have one specifically on Steve's trading principles. So basically his trading rules, one on Fibonacci's, one on pivot points, one on moving averages, profit protection in a down market. I can't tell you the number of times people watched this in the months of March and April when the markets were coming down, actually February, March into April. This helped a lot of people protect themselves in a downward moving market. Could you only imagine going back to when the market took a nosedive, a few months ago, actually more than a few months ago now, if you could have profited and protected. A lot of people were just worried and they stopped looking at their account statements because they were scared. On the other hand, we had a lot of our students that were making money in those down days. We give you a lot of bonus gifts. And then here are our mentors, Steve, Sil, and Brian. As Steve mentioned earlier, Sil and Brian are both our Nison certified trainers. So again, here's your monthly option, your 12-month option, and your lifetime. If you go monthly or lifetime, these are recurring memberships. So this would be every month, this would be every 12 months, and this would be a one-time cost of lifetime. Realize this lifetime offer, you would then be able to utilize that coupon code PROSPER to take 15% off of that. So all you do is click on that Get Access Now, and you'll be able to enter your information and become a brand new member. So with that, what I'd like to do is take any questions that you have, tell you what the link is again to get to this page that I'm showing you, which is candlecharts.com/lifetime. You will get an email once the video of today is ready to go. And you'll also get an email if you're watching this live on how to access this page. So the first question I get is, I don't know how to trade options. Is this good for me? Absolutely. I would encourage everybody to at least look at options. Does not mean you have to start trading options immediately, but we do have that options boot camp. We have a weekly options outlook so that you would be able to ask our mentor any questions that you have, in addition to all of those special topics. Somebody from India, we get this question all the time. I'm from India. Does this help me? Absolutely. We have Indian students as one of 85. We have 85 different countries represented in our database from our students. A lot of them are from India. We know that India had a major shutdown, like a lot of different areas in the world, and we became very popular in India. So we do a lot of Indian markets that you saw. Steve covered a couple of them as they were requested before. This works around the globe. When you do a strategy session, you can request your market and we'll be able to analyze it for you. And there are unlimited number of times that you'll have access to Steve, Brian, and Sil in order to ask questions and watch how things are done. Next question that just came in, I do binary options. Oh, I'm glad you're asking me that. We get this question often. Would this help me? Well, I don't personally trade binary options, so I can't tell you from a personal level, but what I can tell you is we have a lot of students. If you really think about what binary options are, you're really just looking for entries and exits. Which direction is it going to go, right? So that's what candles do. Candles help you understand where the market is going, which direction, who's in control. So if you can twice a week, every Monday and Thursday on a strategy session, request your underlying market for whatever you're doing binary options on, and you would have a much better idea from an objective source like Steve, Brian, or Sil to analyze your market. You would then be able to apply your option strategy. Hope that makes sense. Next question, for the trade setup of the day, how many stocks, Forex, or commodity? Each day, we put up one trade setup of the day. That rotates. That could be a stock, it could be a Forex, it could be a future, it could be a commodity, it could be Bitcoin, it could be oil, it could be Tesla, it could be anything. It's what our team sees as a potential trade for that day. Okay, so there is no exact recommendation that hey, tomorrow's not going to be a stock day or a Forex day. It's whatever our team believes to be a good potential trade setup. Now, why is that important? I'll tell you, there have been numerous times where I've made a trade based on that trade setup, but you don't have to follow it. That's certainly up to you. Okay. And even if you don't actually do the trade that was mentioned in that video for that day, again, we look at everything as an educational piece. So you can see how we were, where and why we said a potential entry and a potential exit and why, and you can kind of match that along with how you would trade. Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily look at it only as if you have to make a trade on that specifically yourself. You're more than welcome to do so, but again, it is an educational piece. Okay, let me know if I answered that question for you, or if you have a follow-up question to it. And Lilith, you're very welcome. I'm glad I was able to answer that binary question for you. I can tell you we've had members for multiple years that are consistently making profits in the market. So it's about having that daily guidance. Again, I don't know about you, but when the market came tumbling down back in March, just knowing that Steve Nison and team were there for doing strategy sessions, daily market recaps. And again, even if it's not a market that you currently trade yourself, just again to see how our team analyzes markets with reasons. A lot of people tell me they enter or exit, and I ask them why they did, and they can't give me a good reason. Candles provide excellent reasons, as long as you understand them well, as to why you would get in and why you would get out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to type the link in so that everybody has it. So there's the link, Candlechartscom/lifetime. Also, if you do have questions, down here at the bottom right, there is the ability to click on that and do a chat with a chat agent. Here's what I love about that. Every one of our chat agents are traders. Okay, a lot of people will do a chat, hey, I forgot my username or my password, or how do I log in kind of thing. And that's fine, they can certainly help you with that. But every chat agent are traders, and every one of them are very knowledgeable about candles and everything that we do here. So utilize the chat agents to help you, not just because you forgot your username. Yeah, that's fine. Use that if you need it. But utilize our team to help you profit in the markets. So I want to thank you all for attending here live or watching this via recording. Thank you to Steve for doing another great session. And we look forward to working with you as a member of mycandlecharts.com. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to working with you. Bye now.